I'm going to show you how to make a false Roman shade like this, which looks like a very expensive custom shade, but it's very, very simple to make. And it's installed on the right angle hook strip with loop strip, and you just press the two together, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. To start, you want to make your cuts for the shade. So measure the length that you'd like your shade to be and add 20 inches. For the width, you're only going to add an inch. Place your lining face up and your fabric cut face down, and smooth them all out evenly and pin them together down the sides and across the bottom. After it's pinned, go to the sewing machine and sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance down the sides and across the bottom, and back up the other side. Leave the top open. And then after it's sewn, you can clip the corners away near the stitching. That'll make it easier to turn right sides out. The next step is to turn the shade right sides out and press all the edges. You want to end up with a very neat, crisp edge like this. And if you have a fabric that seems to roll and not hold a crisp edge, you can go back and top stitch to hold it in place with a matching thread. The next step is to sew on your rings. I've already started sewing the rings on this shade, and you're going to space them starting from the bottom 6 inches, from side to side inset 3/4 of an inch on each side, and then center a ring in the middle. Now this is a very small Roman shade. If you're doing a large shade, you'll have to add more rings in the center, and you want them to be spaced 10 inches or less apart. These are plastic sew-on shade rings. I'm going to show you how to sew them on. I'm using 4 strands of thread knotted at the bottom. And this is a quilting thread. It's a great thread to use for sewing on shade rings. It's very durable. I've marked where the shade ring goes, and you notice I put a pin in it to hold the face fabric and lining together. Well, now I can remove the pin, take a small stitch all the way through to the face fabric and back out, loop it around all the way through the face fabric to the front and back through. And then I'm going to knot off by just catching some of the threads, making a loop, taking the needle through the loop, and pulling it tightly. When you trim, don't trim too close. Leave a little bit of a fray, a little tail there, so that you don't cut too close to the knot. I'm going to sew on one more ring. This one will go a little bit faster. Then pick up some threads, go through the loop, and trim it off, leaving a little bit of thread there. So all the rings are on my shade. At the top, to install it to the hook strip, I need to add some sew-on loop across the top. This is 3/4 inches wide. You could use a little bit wider if you'd like, and stitch down both edges all the way through to the back, top stitching on the sewing machine. And then that's going to turn down and attach to the hook strip. To create the folds in the shade, you're going to hook together all the rings with a split ring. Now I have 4 rows of rings, so that means I have 3 folds. You could do more if you wanted to. If you wanted more folds, you'll have to add more fabric to your length. So that's just simply hooking those together with the split ring. This shade can be removed for cleaning. You can take the split ring off and have it flat again, so if you wash it, you can iron it. Then put the split rings back in place and hook the loop tape back to the strip. So it's great for kids' rooms or kitchens. And the last one's on. Then you'll want to fold your folds in and press them out neatly. You can iron them if you want to it to look crisp, or you can just leave them as they are for a softer look. Now this is going to be installed right on to the hook strip. The hook strip is made of plastic. It's very lightweight. It has the hook already embedded onto the front, and it has screw holes so you can go right inside your window frame and screw this in place. And then place the shade right on and press it in place. If you wanted to do a tension rod instead of using the hook strip, you would just need to fold in a pocket and stitch across, and then you can insert a tension rod and install it inside the frame, and that wouldn't require any screws. Roman shades are a really popular style of window treatment. I think you'll enjoy making these quick and easy shades, and they can be combined with valances or drapery panels.